Hello and welcome. My name is Jones, and I'll be giving you a quick analysis on the Open Library of the Humanities and how it operates as a digital library. So before we get started, I wanted to give some introductory information on the Open Library of the Humanities in general. So first of all, we need to know what the Open Library of Humanities is, what it brands itself as. The Open Library of the Humanities, it started off on a 2013 Andrew W. Mellon Foundation grant, and by 2015 it was up and operational under OLH Press. The Open Library of the Humanities holds journals in humanities that are open access. Open access generally means that there is no cost to the user to access. It's a movement in libraries to try and remove the cost barriers and make material easier to access across the globe. So currently, the Open Library of the Humanities holds 15 different journals. 11 of them are locally hosted, and 4 of them are affiliate journals. The most well-known journal from the Open Library of the Humanities is Glossa. It was created after the editorial board of Lingua decided that they didn't like the publishing model through Elsevier and defected and went open access. In order to maintain the high level of peer review academic scholarship that the Open Library of Humanities offers, the Open Library has created a funding model that allows them to stay non-for-profit and also keep the costs away from both the users and the authors. In traditional open access funding models, authors have been charged with publication fees to make the material available to the user for free. Instead, the Open Library of the Humanities has involved 219 separate institutions who have agreed to pay a yearly subscription fee currently at $925 a year in order to maintain the costs that are necessary to create the content. There's a fair amount of literature that's already been written about the Open Library of the Humanities funding model. This is something that we won't focus on too much, but it was good to know about because it does make impact on how the library operates. So going forward, we're going to look at 3 separate sections: the selection of material section, the preservation of the material, and the dissemination of the material, in order to see how the library operates and assess how well it acts as a digital library. So as we move to the selection section, we can see that there are a couple of different major aspects to it. There's the peer review, there's the importance of board member institutions, and there's also submission requirements that go into how the OLH makes its decisions. So one of the things that becomes very apparent when you look at Open Library of the Humanities is they rely heavily on outside sources to do a lot of the functions. They use Crosscheck, which is a program within Crossref that looks at documents and compares it to a repository of other articles on the subjects and looks for how closely they resemble each other. Looking at a couple of different sources, usually the average and what the threshold is below 40%. You see most of them hanging around between 30 and 20% similarity. And this helps streamline the peer review. However, Crosscheck doesn't as itself work as a good plagiarism check. Various studies have shown that a lot of the similarities come from when things are not cited as they've been intended to be in the primary source. Instead, they are cited in a slightly different way. Instead, it allows the peer reviewers to focus more on the content. Another aspect with selection is those 219 institutions have a seat on this board that is consulted on all decisions with letting more journals come in or funding or budgeting issues. And that's a issue in itself because with 219 separate colleges with separate ideas about how open access should work, a lot of time and energy will be spent. The other major issue is because the Open Library of the Humanities has 15 different journals. Each different journal has its own submission requirements. The only constant throughout all of the submission requirements was that it had to be turned in electronically, which has a benefit because it's very easy to get the metadata out of an electronic source. Alright, so after we look at selection, we want to go into preservation. this is all about 3 different tools that they use. These are all tools that are not created by Open Library of the Humanities. There's one that they use to help them get their stuff done. The first one is Clocks. And what Clocks does is it takes all of the material and backs it up on a system that has at least 6 different copies at all times that are constantly auditing each other to make sure that nothing ever gets corrupted, and even if something does get corrupted, it'll get fixed in the next audit. This is really nice, but it also makes you beholden to Clocks. If Clocks no longer exists, even if you get your files back, you're going to have to spend a lot of time and effort training or hiring someone to understand how Clocks' system worked and make it preservable in your own system, or find something that also communicates with Clocks. The next aspect of what the Open Library of Humanities does to preserve its material is it uses Crossref in association with a digital object identifier. Digital object identifiers give a unique identification to an article. It's very easy to track an article, and Crossref uses that combined with metadata that's provided to link it with other repositories and journals and books and find similarities. Finally, the metadata is used through the Open Archives initiative. It's a way for them to publicly release their metadata for various aggregators like Crossref and many others to use, so they can put it into their search engines and make it discoverable. And they use this OAI PMH, which is a standardization of the metadata. It's relatively vague. It just says that you want to use metadata, and it's encouraged that you use Dublin Core for interoperability, but it leaves a lot of open-endedness, and this is a major problem because if the metadata record is incorrect or tagged in a manner that's not consistent with what Crossref expects, it's going to make something not easy to discover. Moving on, we'll go to dissemination. So the dissemination is where the Open Library of the Humanities falls short. As we can tell, we've seen how it's really good at spreading itself out to other aggregates, and makes it very easy to look on Google and find, or go on to the OPAC at UB and find. Unfortunately, when you go to the site, it's not user-friendly, and I'll just show that shortly. Now we're going to move over to Open Library of Humanities, and this is openlibhums.org. And as you can see, it looks really nice. And this scrolling screen looks like the UB Libraries website, and then you've got some of the top journals already right there, and you can go right in to visit that journal. One thing that's distinctly missing, there is no search engine for it. You can't search within this page to find, hey, I want to see if there's anything on like War of 1812, maybe something about writings at that point. I can't do that. So what you have to do is go into the journals section, and then you're looking at various different journals. You've got Asian Network, Journal of British and Irish Innovative Poetry, all the way down. And then it's broken up between the locally hosted, which are these 11 right here, and the affiliated OLH journals, which are below that. And that's where Glossa shows up, because it is already its own journal, but it has been supported by the Open Library of the Humanities. So we're going to go into Marvel Studies. One of the features I really like about this site is that it has its latest articles right here, so it's very easy to see what is the newest thing that's been coming out. What's also good about this is this actually has a search engine, so I want to look for Andrew Marvell, see if there's much about Marvell. I already see 2 in the latest articles, but maybe there might be more. And then it's got 6 with Marvell in the title, and a couple more that say Marvell is in it. So let's go in, and what you can see is it has an abstract, and it has the full document as in text format, which is really nice because you don't have to download a PDF if you don't need to. You can actually just scroll through and read it. But you still have the option to download both an XML or PDF format. And they even have a section for comments. If somebody logs in, they can actually write a comment about this article, a way to foster scholarly communication that's not able to be done in print format. And finally, one of the things that makes me unsure about how effective this is as a digital library is the fact that only one of these tabs has anything to do with actually finding material. Everything else is what you would see at a normal journal submission place. This is really guided towards getting people to become publishers, or getting journals to come on board, or getting libraries to come and get involved. I mean, where a search engine you would typically be, you see publish with us or get involved. But one of the main things that it has is it has these great tools that make the information accessible on various other OPACs and various other places, and links it to other things that are similar and keeps you in an academic sphere. It also has the opportunity to get instant feedback and comments on your works, which helps with scholarly communication. But is it really an effective digital library? I think it's a hybrid between a publisher and a library. It might actually even be better to call it the open publisher of the humanities. There is no real inherent OPAC. I mean, within the journals you can get some searching, but there's no way to know the total records that they have, no way to cross-search between various journals on the site, and it's not very user-friendly, and it really focuses on trying to get more people to come on board and publish and submit articles. So going forward, I think there has to be a philosophical shift away from this need to justify that they exist to other people towards how do we actually get the users to use this, and how do we make this effective and easy to use for people who want to use this open access material. Finally, I just wanted to let you guys get a look at some of the references that I used to create this analysis. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and good luck with the rest of the semester.